President Obama wasted not a moment after the horrifying shootings in Oregon to make it political and call for gun control. He got up on the stage and said, Republicans are partly responsible. Watch.
The main thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this on a regular basis. And I will politicize it because our inaction is a political decision that we are making.
Dr. Ben Carson doesn't agree with that. He says we ought to be focusing on the victim's faith. The 2016 presidential candidate here now to explain. Dr. Carson, thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
So why are these shootings happening, and what can we do to stop them?
Well, it appears that in many of these shootings we have people who have mental disturbances, and it would be wonderful if we systematically begin to study these people and try to see what are the early warning signs so that we can intervene in their lives before this kind of thing happens. You know, taking guns away does not solve this problem. And Thomas Jefferson, way back then, said, you know, the only people who are hurt when we take guns away are the law-abiding citizens. So that doesn't make any sense.
That seems like such a logical, systematic response. Maybe not surprising since you're a physician, but why aren't we doing that? Why isn't there a national push to study the people committing these crimes, try to figure out what they have in common, and then combat it from that end? Why not?
I'm not sure why there isn't, but certainly in a Carson administration there would be. You know, we would start looking at data, looking at evidence, and making decisions based on that rather than just wildly making decisions based on ideology. And obviously, you know, the president talking about what he talked about, why isn't he talking about the fact that, you know, there are hate crimes and Christians are being targeted? I don't think he ever even mentioned the word Christian.
No. Well, maybe he spoke before the details were. I mean, how brave is the second person who stood up when asked, are you a Christian, and then was shot? I mean, it would be interesting if the president mentioned that. Now, the president has said he'd like to bring in at least, just to start, 100,000 refugees, mostly from the Syrian civil war now in progress. He hasn't explained why or how this benefits America. Where are you on this question? Should we do that?
I say at some point we need to start being logical and recognize that if you're bringing in people from that part of the world and you know they're a global jihadist and they want to infiltrate America and they want to destroy us, why in fact would you facilitate that for them? That doesn't make any sense. I do feel compassion for the people who are over there and for the refugees, and I have no problem with helping to settle them in that area of the world financially and with expertise. But to bring them here when we have tens of millions of people here already that we're not taking care of, when do we start putting Americans first?
Yeah, well, there are thousands of American citizens sleeping on the streets right outside our studio here in New York City. Does the United States have a moral obligation to admit anyone who wants to come to the United States?
Of course not. You know, no more than you have a moral obligation to house anybody who comes and knocks on your door. Obviously, we have discretion in that. And the wonderful thing is the good Lord gave us a brain. You know, at some point, I think he expects us to put it in gear.
So Donald Trump the other day said if elected president, he would absolutely hire you. He wouldn't even hesitate for a second to bring you into the Trump administration. Would you return the favor? If elected president, would you hire Donald Trump?
I think Donald Trump has many admirable qualities and traits, and I would think that he would find a very good spot in our administration.
Where in your administration would you say?
Well, that would remain to be seen.
Huh. So you said the other day that when Trump has gone after you, you visualize him as an infant, and that helps you put the situation into perspective. Has he responded to that?
Well, actually, I didn't mention him. I just said, no, I said, you know, people who sometimes act a little irrationally, rather than get angry with them, I imagine them as a little baby. And I said, that used to be a cute little baby. I wonder what happened to them. And by thinking about that, it makes it very easy to deal with them without getting angry.
Dr. Ben Carson joining us live this morning. Great to see you, Doctor. Thanks for coming on.
You too. Thanks.